How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to On The Ball, or welcome back to another episode of Review the Prem, where we're going to take a look back at the weekday fixtures and see how our predictions got on. And as the scoring goes, it's 247 to Sim, 259 to myself, and it's 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result. And that star man, once you pick him, you can't pick him again for the rest of the season. 5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist. And let's start off with Brighton against Bournemouth at the Amex. It finished 2-1 to Brighton, both of us going for 2-2. Good game of football, this one. Very open, end-to-end, chances at both ends. I thought Brighton did have the better, probably, of the chances and deserved the victory. But it was an entertaining game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a game of two conflicting styles, and I think we saw that during the 90 minutes. And I thought both teams really gave basically as good as they got for a lot of the game. And I think Brighton definitely started off the better, and they were the ones who obviously took the lead through João Pedro, the penalty. And I thought João Pedro was causing a lot of problems. Matoma was. And this new guy I want to talk about, actually, what was his name? Gomez. He was brilliant. Brighton maybe unearthed another gem here, because he was literally playing through Bournemouth's press so effectively and playing some lovely through balls as well. I think he might be one to keep an eye on, because I think it might have been his debut or his second game. Very new to the team, and maybe Brighton have done another brilliant job scouting, because he was brilliant, I thought, on the day, Gomez.
He actually made his debut in that 7-0 defeat to Forest.
Okay, so maybe
quite a few weeks ago.
Maybe needed some time to adjust.
Yeah, but yeah, they just seem to pluck out players from nowhere, don't they?
Honestly, Brighton? That's the Brian scouting for you. But obviously, Bournemouth did get back in the game with what a goal from Cliver. You see it, 30 yards out. This guy is having an unbelievable season.
Getting some catalogue of goals, isn't he?
He is. He's got unbelievable amount of goals and quality of goals as well. And Jose Mourinho always said he's going to be a special player. And he's really now found his feet, I feel like, at Bournemouth. And what I like about him, he's very versatile, can play on the wing, he's not playing in the 10 most of the season as well. And he's really living up to his early promise at the moment this season. And some of the quality of his shooting is really, really unbelievable. And it was an incredible goal. And that was maybe some of the bigger clubs are going to start sniffing around him soon.
17 goal contributions for him, 12 goals, 5 assists. Brilliant season he's having. And Danny Welbeck back in the goals as well, grabbing that winner with about 15 minutes to go. It's been a while since I think he's been on the score sheet since that injury and stuff like that. But
started the season amazingly and then picked up an injury.
So I think they missed him a lot when he was out injured, and it coincided with the bad run that they went on. But now he's back, Brighton on stunning form.
Yeah, 3 wins in a row, right back in the conversation for that Champions League spot. 3 points off Chelsea in 5th. So they'll definitely be feeling that they're coming into form at the right time. Bournemouth, on the other hand, that's 3 defeats in their last 4. So maybe form's starting to wane a bit for them with injuries and stuff.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to Selhurst Park. It was an absolute battering of Aston Villa, 4-1. Mateta at it again, once again. The form that he's been on in the calendar year, in the last calendar year and moving into this year as well, has been nothing short of stunning. Sim went for 2-0 to Palace. I went for 1-1. Yeah, and how wrong was I? Because Palace really taught Aston Villa a bit of a lesson here. And I thought the hub of the team, the heart of everything, was Adam Wharton.
For sure, and that was his first start, I think, since the Tottenham game. Yeah. And what a performance he put in. I think he's so silky in the middle, and he's got such an appreciation for space on the pitch and where he needs to move to, and he's got unbelievable ability in his passing range. I thought it was on full display against Aston Villa. They completely destroyed them. It flattered them, I think, 4-1, because it could have been a lot worse for Aston Villa. And I think there needs to be a bit of a conversation about Aston Villa, because they've taken a lot of batterings this season, especially away from home. They lost to Spurs 4-1. They lost to I think, who else they lose to? I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know they have taken quite a few batterings this season. And Unai Emery seems to just get off scot-free every time.
Newcastle 3-0, Chelsea 3-0.
Yeah, it's a lot of heavy defeats. And they are currently in 10th. They're still obviously only 4 points off 5th, but they currently use 96% of their turnover for wages. Yeah. That is not sustainable. If they do not get Champions League football, could they be in very big trouble? Financially.
Yeah, they could be. They've been on
it's a big risk.
They've been on the brink of PSR over the last couple of years. They've seemed to work their way around it with a few dodgy deals and stuff like that. But yeah, I totally agree. If they don't make Champions League for next season, there could be a bit of a fire sale there. There could be some players that they're going to need to sell to make ends meet. But in terms of what the outlook of their season looks like right now, I think all kind of focus is going to be getting on that Champions League, but they could end up with a really successful season because I think they've got a really big opportunity for the FA Cup this year.
FA Cup, and obviously they are still in the Champions League itself, and they're still in the fight in the league. I know there's a few teams between them and Chelsea, but they'll believe that they will back themselves to maybe go on a run. But I don't know, something tells me this whole thing's built on a bit of a house of cards. Like, it could tumble very quickly, I feel, this whole thing with Aston Villa.
But they are only 6 points out of the Champions League spot, so it's still, it's in their grasp.
4 points, or if we're saying fifth is Champions League, then it's 4 points. So it definitely is, but the way they're playing, they've been on bad form for quite a while now, haven't they? They haven't really been consistent for quite a long time.
Well, it's actually 5 points outside Champions League. And they've played a game more than everyone. And
also, Unai Emery seems to very regularly, like clockwork, have a stumble around April time. It's happened at every club he's been at, pretty much, especially in the league. But what he does also, like clockwork, is he does well in the European competitions. So,
yeah, I question how far they can go because they're due to play. They got Club Brugge in the next round,
which they did lose to in the groups.
Yeah, I think they can get past Club Brugge. I'm not saying that, but in the next round they're probably going to play Liverpool.
Which I'll be amazed if they get through that. Albeit, when he was in charge of Villarreal, they very nearly beat Liverpool in the semi-finals. I think it was. They gave him a real good game, but it was a close one. They end up losing still. But I think they've kind of put all their eggs in in the basket of getting into the Champions League. And if they fail to do it, it'd be very interesting to see what the future holds for Aston Villa. But in terms of Palace, I think having Wharton back is massive for them. Obviously, Mateta. Some crazy stats coming out of Palace. First of all, the Mateta one. He has got as many goals as Salah since since the beginning of 2024, which is
that's just nuts.
It's crazy. If we think about Salah having an all-timer season, and Mateta in the 2024 till now is same league goals as him. It's crazy. That's how good a form he is. And a lot of people saying should like Man United or someone like that go for him. Is he destined for a bigger club, Mateta, or is he still kind of a player maybe who just suits Palace and he's not maybe needs a bigger club?
I think there are a few players in that Palace team that are destined for bigger clubs. You're looking at Mateta. I think he's definitely a case for it. Adam Wharton's a case for it, and Eberechi Eze as well. Mark Guehi as well, yeah.
And also a crazy stat since beating Tottenham. If you just take league form from them, they're in fourth position, which is crazy to think about. That sloppy start really cost them maybe a European push, which a lot of people were saying they could potentially do at the back end of last season. Glasner's just doing a fantastic job at the moment, isn't he?
Also, on top of that, after the Tottenham game, they went on another kind of sloppy run, and they dropped a few points after the Spurs game, and it took them a while after the Spurs game to regain that proper form which they showed in the back end of last season, but they're definitely on that form now.
Yeah, I think they just needed time, didn't they, to adjust to losing Olise and get some new signings embedded in, but right now they're flying, and Glasner's doing a phenomenal job, and they're pushing. I don't know if they'll go for the Europes, but I think top half for sure, they're pushing for that.
But if they can, I know we said this last season, but if they can finish this season in this kind of vein of form from now until the end, right, they have to kick on next season and be looking towards Europe if they don't lose anyone.
Yeah, that's the thing. I just can't see them not losing anyone.
And moving on to the next game, Wolves 1, Fulham 2 at Molineux. Sim went for 2-1 to Wolves. I went for 2-2. And yeah, I mean, look, I don't think Wolves were terrible in this game, but Fulham just did more than enough to get the job done, creating the best chances in the game. And, Fulham and the work Marco Silva's doing this season is just sensational in my opinion.
Yeah, another really good result. And as you say, away from home, they seem to be really consistent, haven't lost too many games. And 2 goals at the beginning of each half did the job for them. Ryan Sessegnon back in the team and back amongst the goals. Brilliant finish from him. I think his first goal since his return to Fulham. So fantastic for him. And he said, how happy he was to finally be scoring goals in this show again. You forget when he was a youngster at Fulham, he was scored quite regularly for them, especially in the Championship.
In the Championship at 16 years of age, he was banging in the goals.
So, look, he's still only 24, so maybe he feels like he's, hopefully he needs to get over those injury issues. But I felt like Wolves really came back in the game, and João Gomez deservedly scored that goal to equalise, and it was looking like Wolves were going to push on. But I think that goal right at the beginning of the second half took the wind out of their sails a bit, and Fulham were just able to hang on. I think Wolves' point of view, bit of a missed opportunity here with, I guess, with Ipswich and Leicester, obviously I know they're losing every week, but with a win here, if they would have got something, just pull that bit further out of the relegation mire.
Yeah, I mean, look, you say that, but I think the form that they're on, they're going to pick up results here and there between now and the end of the season. They've got the quality to do so. Matthias Cunha is the X factor in their squad and one of the best players on current form in the Premier League, in my opinion. So
apparently they haven't won a game when he hasn't scored.
Really?
Yeah.
That's quite incredible. I think Wolves are going to do more than enough to stay in this division, looking at the 3 teams at the bottom.
I think they will. I'm just saying you still got to do the job, don't you?
Yeah.
And, it's a bit of a missed opportunity when you get back to 1-1 and you're level in the game. If they would have got something out of this game, I think, I think 5 points are still only 5 points. That can change quickly, whatever situation you're in. So as long as the gap is within a couple of games, you still got that bit of fear about you.
Yeah, Wolves have to play the 3 teams at the bottom still.
There you go.
So you do
big
expect
games.
them to win at least 2 out of 3 of those.
Well, or they could lose.
They could
big games,
lose.
yeah.
They could lose, but I mean, your expectance is for them to win that.
You kind of would rather have those games out of the way in a way because it doesn't give them a chance to chase up,
100%.
catch up.
In 3 games' time, they go away to Southampton.
Yeah, they should win that. They should win that.
And if they win that, you probably say that's probably that. But next up is Chelsea against Southampton. 4-0 at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea back to a convincing victory. Sim went for 3-0. I went for 3-1. And Sim thought he was on his way to a 5-pointer. And a goal was in the last 5 minutes or so.
Cucurella.
Cucurella gets the job done for Chelsea. I mean, it was convincing in terms of because of the gap between the sides, but I still don't think Chelsea were that great.
Yeah, it was a weird one. I thought before they scored the first goal, it was actually quite a nervy game. If you're watching it, like Jorgensen was looking nervous at the in goal. He also had to make a save from, I think it was Onuachu, had a really good chance with a header to put Southampton 1-0 up, and you could feel there was a bit of tension in the air at Stamford Bridge. Obviously, the game preceded some protests outside the ground. Clear Lake out, Todd Bowley out, all these things.
I'm sorry, though, but Chelsea fans are one of the most entitled fan bases I've ever seen in my life. You talk about Tottenham and their protests against Daniel Levy and say, oh, look what he's done for you, this stadium and all this kind of stuff. We've had to suffer this for 25 years. We've had gripes with them for at least the last five years or so. They've been at Chelsea for 2 years, guys. Let them just... You don't even know what they're about yet. You know what I mean?
The one sign in the protest held up was saying, win at Arsenal, win or F off. So I think that's kind of where their heads at, a lot of these fans. But yeah, I mean, I kind of understand the frustration because they're a club used to winning, challenging right at the top, used to winning trophies every single year. And since, let's be honest, since Clear Lake have come in, they've been a very inconsistent. They've been mired in mid-table mediocrity for the first 2 years. But this year they are on their way back up, and they're only 1 point off third. So, what do they expect?
Yeah, but let's be honest. In the latter stages of Roman, I know they won the Champions League under Tuchel, under Roman, in what was in his last year or the year before his
Penultimate,
last.
yeah.
But I mean, that was a massive slice of. Look at the team that he won Champions League with.
Werner, Havertz.
That's never. Look at where all these players are right now.
How they play, if they play.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like the way they won that Champions League that year, you're never going to see that again. You're just not. And I felt like the Roman project at that moment in time was going stale. They needed a big refresh.
They still never finished outside the top 4, don't they?
Yeah,
not in the latter. Like under Lampard, they got top 4. Then Lampard got sacked and Tuchel got top 4.
You're right, but
it was waning.
It was waning. It was waning, and it was going that way. And Roman needed to massively refresh it, and then the whole thing happened, and he lost the club, and it went over to Todd Bowley. So, yeah, I do. I say I feel for Todd Bowley, but I don't, because I'm happy to see Chelsea in this kind of mess, to be honest. But I think for Chelsea fans' point of view, you just got to realise where the club is at this moment in time, and you got to they're buying some good young talent, and they're going to need to see it. They need time.
But Clear Lake have come in. They've signed all these young players, given them all 8-year contracts, and after a year, all these fans are protesting, saying we want it out, we want to change. It's like it's going to be a bit of a process here at Chelsea with the new ownership and them stamping imprinting their philosophy or whatever their plan on this club. And also, they're currently, as I say, they're 1 point off fourth, 2 points off third. I don't know how much more they want. No one said they were going to be challenging for a title this season. They're probably still going to, win that Conference League. There's a good chance of that anyway. So as much as they've been on bad form, I get it. The last 10 games, when it looked like they might be in the title challenge, it has gone stale in that sense, but they're still in the top 4 race.
No one was protesting a couple of months ago when they were in the title race, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think
it's just a bit of bad form and they're throwing their toys out the pram.
Literally protesting for the whole board to go out because of some bad form.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that is. We say that, but then again, they did have the Potter debacle. They did have last season under Poch, where up until pretty much the last 8 games, they were in mid-table as well before they had a really good run of form. So I guess it's not just a bad run of form, but this season I would say it is just a bad run of form.
This is where the protests have started. And look, don't get me wrong. I don't think Todd Bowley has done everything perfectly well, and he hasn't had mistakes. He's definitely made mistakes.
Yeah, you can even say he's done a bad job, to be fair.
100%. But the reality is, this season took a turn for the better, not for the worse.
Yeah, for sure. It's in terms of where they are. So. Yeah, I think demanding them out is a bit excessive, I think it's fair to say. But look, the wins were standard, pretty solid win. The only other discussion point is Cole Palmer. I know he's my star man, we'll get into that. But I think hasn't got a assist in 2025. He's on, I think, 1 goal in his last 10, I think it is. On a bit of bad form at the moment, Cole.
I was watching a video about Cole Palmer a few weeks ago, saying that the way that Maresca uses him right now, and he doesn't use him the same way as maybe a Poch was using him last year. Poch was getting him in the areas where he could really hurt opposition defences, and now he plays a tiny bit deeper where he's not really involved as much in the attacking phases of play.
I don't know if I believe that. I always see him in the box. I mean, how many chances did he have in this game?
No, in this game, 100%.
I don't know. I think his goal scoring numbers are still pretty good, and assist numbers even this season. So
it's nothing on last season though.
Last season was amazing, but it's not that far off, is it? Like, in terms of on this trajectory, it's gonna. Last season he got 20. How many goals? 21.
Something like that, yeah.
And he
got 30 goal contributions.
Yeah, he's not that far off that.
Let's see where.
The season's not over yet. He's got another 12 games, but I think
he's on stinking form.
He's on bad form. Don't get me wrong, but in terms of
his worst form in a Chelsea shirt.
Yes, I don't disagree with that. But in terms of his overall season. I don't think the goal contributions have been bad. I think he's on what?
Well, to be fair, he's on 14 goals.
And
14 goals, 6 assists.
So 20. So could he get 10 goal contributions in his last 12 games, potentially?
Yeah, he probably can, to be fair.
So
maybe people are making more out of it than it actually is.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's more just, for some reason, his shots are being saved at the moment, and maybe he's hitting the post a few times instead of. I think it's just a bit of bad form.
Do you feel though like these are the games when Cole Palmer usually comes live and gets the goal contributions? Do you feel like a lot of people have criticised him for not really having goal contributions consistently in the big games?
Yeah, for sure. And that's a criticism. He seems to only get penalties in those bigger games. He is still a young player, but yeah, I think. Maybe that's what's stopping him being mentioned in that really elite level of players just yet, but that will come, I think. He's still very young. You can't remember, he's only 22, I think, so he's still very young. So I think he's got the world at his feet, in my opinion.
All right, let's move on to Brentford against Everton. It finished 1-1. Sim went 3-2 to Brentford. I went 2-1 to Everton, so
of course it's a draw.
Had to be a draw. Brentford go 1-0 up on the stroke of half-time with Johan Wissa, who's having a sensational season himself. And then Everton get the equaliser with about 10 minutes to go with O'Brien, the youngster, the young defender. In terms of chances in the game, it was kind of a fairly even game, wasn't it?
It was, but I think the game rested on 3 1-on-1s for Beto, which he missed all 3. And
really?
Yeah, considering the form he's been on, you expect him to stick one of them away.
Can he be given a pass for the form he's been on?
Probably, but it still didn't mean Moyes was any less frustrated on the sidelines, you could see. But so Everton will be kicking themselves with that. But I think on the balance of play, Brentford as well had a few opportunities. Wissa had some chances. So I think, and as well, they were 1-0 up for quite a while. So I think Brentford feel disappointed. They could only take a point after being 1-0 up. Everton feel disappointed that they only got a draw when Beto had 3 1-on-1s. So I think both teams won't be too happy with the draw, but also both teams won't be that disappointed either. It's not a bad point for both teams. But in terms of Everton, I think it's 7 unbeaten now since Moyes took over. Yeah. Only 1 loss, and they've been unbeaten in the ongoing 7 games after that. What a job he is doing, David Moyes. And I think, as I said before he took over, this is a manager who was used to challenging for European football. With Everton moving into a new stadium, with new investors, new ownership and stuff like that, do you reckon the future looks bright for Everton?
Yeah, it depends what the ownership plans are, to be honest. I think obviously it's a good spurt at the moment with the new manager bounce. They got 3 wins, went out the cup, and now they're on 3 draws in their last 4 games, with 1 win in there away at Crystal Palace, which is obviously a very good win. So I think it all depends on what the plans are for the new ownership, because nobody actually knows. But it's great for them moving into that new stadium. That stadium looks brilliant, by the way. Looks like it could be a really intimidating place to go with nice steep stands, and I'm very much looking forward to going there next season, to be honest. But yeah, look, the future could look bright for Everton if the owners are willing to put their money where their mouth is and bring in the talent.
Yeah, I think Moyes is the right guy for the time being. I think, because I think he's used to taking clubs from where Everton are to actually overperforming and competing for Europe. He's done it a few times, so yeah. I think he's a good guy to have. Brentford. Just in a quick one on them, their home form just seemed to completely flipped. They're now winning away and losing not winning at home.
Brentford are the weirdest team, I swear. They really are, because at the beginning of the season, you're thinking, wow, how are they so good at home? They're beating everyone. And then they went on that run playing basically all the big boys at home. They lost them all. And then their away form just completely flipped. Like, they went from losing every away game to winning every away game. And they went from winning every home game to losing every home game.
They're now winless in 5 at home, and they've won their last 4 away.
That's what I'm saying.
They're such a strange team. But look, we love them. We love Brentford.
Yeah, let's move on to Manchester United. They won 3-2 against Ipswich. Sim went for 2-1 to Ipswich. I went for 2-1 to Manchester United, so I gain a point for this one. What an interesting game of football this was, because Ipswich take the lead early on, and you're thinking, wow, what's going to happen here? Man United quickly turn it around. An own goal, Delit. Inside half an hour, it's 2-1 to Manchester United. Then Dorgu gets sent off, and you're thinking, wow, now so this is a massive opportunity for Ipswich.
After he made a bad mistake as well, didn't he, for the first goal?
Yeah.
Shocking.
Well, that was in the first 4 minutes, yeah. No, I know. And just before half-time, Philogene makes it 2-2, and you're thinking, wow, this is it. This is Ipswich's game. They're going to kick on. They're going to win against the 10 men of Manchester United. Man United are not good at the best of times when they've got 11 on the pitch. And Ipswich created so many chances in that second half. And then Man U are the ones that go and win. How do Man U keep getting away with this?
He's like that Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad meme. How do they keep getting away with this? Yeah, I think got very, very lucky in this game. Very lucky. I think all 3 goals came from set pieces. Really lucky goals in all of them, to be honest. Ipswich will be kicking themselves. They allowed Man United to score from those moments. Harry Maguire was actually right at the beginning of the second half. They got the third goal. I think Ipswich huffed and puffed in that second half, but actually struggled to break down Man United's wall, to be honest. I thought Man United were way too comfortable when they're being down to 10 men in that period. I think Ipswich should be doing a lot better in that scenario, especially when they got the likes of Hutchinson, Philogene, Clark, Delap. Those are 4 decent attackers that should be able to cause Man United some trouble, and they just weren't able to whatsoever in that second half, really. Onana wasn't really tested, but you have to say the 2 goals that United conceded were absolutely atrocious, both of them. First one, Dorgu passes it, doesn't look where Onana is, and just passes it back to the empty net for allowing Philogene to tap it home. And the second one, Philogene crossed it in. It's not even that powerful cross or got that much whip in it. They just let it go all the way through. I thought that was a shocking goal to concede as well, that second goal. And they were just lucky they came up against an Ipswich team who were even worse, and the goals they conceded were all from corners and poor defending from Ipswich from set pieces, which allowed Man United to get the win. So Man United, I don't think are fooling anyone with that win and the way they got it, but it's important they did get the win just to make sure they're staying closer to the top half of the relegation.
But they keep doing this, Man United. They keep sneaking these wins in there, and I just don't know how they're doing it.
Yeah, they're getting very lucky, but I don't think anything they're going to do much between now and the end of the season. I honestly don't see it improving much. Now Dorgu's out for 3 games. He's actually been quite a good player for them in terms of suiting the system. Now he's out. They're going to go back to the fullbacks they had before. So I can see results even getting worse again.
Forest against Arsenal, which was a 0-0 draw. Both of us went for 1-0 to Forest, and we should have seen the writing on this wall for a 0-0.
Yeah,
to
for
be
sure.
honest.
Yeah,
we should have seen it, because it played out, I think, how everyone just kind of expected. Forest not able to break Arsenal down, Arsenal not able to break Forest down. Two really strong defences, and Arsenal's attack is just so toothless, isn't it?
At the moment, they just can't. Nuno even said after the game, he said, some against the bigger sides, I play a back five, but I didn't have to this game because Arsenal don't have a striker, so I didn't need to, really, no point. They just didn't really look like scoring. The only time they went close was through Calafiori when he hit the post, which was a decent effort. But other than that, they're again relying on corners, relying on set pieces, which they did have a few moments. But again, if you're relying on set pieces against a team like Forest, who that's what they're good at, you're going to struggle. I think the only credit they get is going the other way. I mean, Wood was very much isolated and he wasn't able to really affect the game. I don't remember too many chances that Forest had too much between Hudson-Odoi and Elanga. I actually thought Arsenal kept them quiet pretty easily. But when you've got no attackers at the moment, and especially as well, even when they did have attackers, with Saka, even when Saka was fit, it wasn't like, people forget they drew 0-0 at home to Everton when Saka was fit. Like, they had their struggles as well in open play, especially when they had a full team. So when you take that struggle and you amplify it with the likes of Moreno up front and Trossard and Sterling out of form and a 17-year-old Nwaneri, it's no surprise that they've scored. I think they haven't scored in 3 of their last 4 games now, Arsenal.
I'm actually shocked by how Arsenal have played pretty much all season, how they're sitting in second in the table.
Yeah.
I think that shows how much of a decline the top of the Premier League has actually got, because you're looking at Forest being third in the league, Man City, who've massively dropped off, being fourth. And, it's very tight from there on up until 10th in the table. But I think that the top end of the Premier League has declined massively from last season and the last couple of years.
I think the top teams have declined, but the middle teams have really improved, and it's led to like an equalising.
100%.
So I think Arsenal. Is there any chance they're in a top 4 battle though, or they're just too many points clear?
It very much depends when Bukayo Saka comes back, because if he's back soon, because there are rumours that he's on the verge of coming back, he's going to get them out of jail more times than not. So he's the kind of X factor for them. He's the one that can put the ball in the back of the net or can just create a chance out of nothing. So the longer he's out, the more chance there is of them being embroiled in top 4 race. But if he's back in the next couple of games, I think they'll be safe in second.
Yeah, I think it should be all right. But 13 points now behind Liverpool. That title was well and truly gone. And that's a third year in a row where, I would say, the last 2 years they've really been in a race, but it hasn't really been a race this year. Because you've got to remember, even I think in 10 games in, Liverpool were like 8 points clear. I remember we had these conversations. Is the race over? Or not race over, but is it Liverpool's to lose? And I think a lot of people still saying, I think City are going to come back in it. Arsenal are going to come back in it. But if they just never did, really. I think Liverpool have been clear for pretty much the whole season. Yeah. So that must be so disappointing for Arsenal, the fact they went so close. And this year, there hasn't really even been a race, even with Man City dropping out.
Yeah, I think what's going to hurt Arsenal the most is that they've been second to Manchester City the last couple of years. Man City have a massive drop-off, and then suddenly Liverpool just steamroll them.
Yeah, exactly. So, but Arsenal have also not been as good as they even were last season. So they've declined massively. And I think they suffered for really. I think it was a wrong decision to think Havertz was the answer up front just because he went on a good run of form last year. I think everyone can see he's still not the answer.
They had an opportunity. They had a massive opportunity in this January transfer window to kick on and give Liverpool a real go, and to give them some real competition. And they brought in no one.
Yeah, and they're paying the price for it at the moment. But they should be all right. I think as well, Champions League, I think at the moment they're going to struggle even against PSV right now.
Yeah, and even if they do get past PSV, they've got Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid waiting for them in the next round. So I think they can kiss the Champions League goodbye.
I think so as well, and that could be another season without a trophy for Arsenal. But for Forest, good point. Keeps them just ticking along in that top 4 race. But it's very tight now. They're only 4 points away from 6th, so they've got to start getting more wins again if they're going to stave off the competition.
Yeah, I can't really see Forest getting Champions League football.
Reckon?
Yeah, I think I know the other teams are inconsistent as well, but the way they're getting battered, I just feel like results starting to get worse and worse for them as the season wears on now.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't see them keep up that run of form they're on. But look, the thing is, because the other teams are so inconsistent, I don't even think it might not even take that many wins to get there. So they might just scrape it. So I do think there is a chance, but I think they're not going to pull clear like they threatened to do.
To be fair, their next game is they play Man City.
Wow, big game. Big game, the top
at City
four.
Ground.
Big game.
If Forest can win that, then that puts themselves again in another commanding position.
Absolutely.
Tottenham against Man City next to finish 1-0 to Man City at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Sim went for 4-2. I went for 2-1, both in the favour of Tottenham. Ange rung the changes. Sonny on the bench, Kulusevski on the bench, Jed Spence on the bench. A bit of mixed reaction from the fan base. I, for one, was pretty happy with it because I've been calling for these players to get a rest for some time now. So I can't really complain when he does it, even if it is a game against Manchester City. But the first half was just shocking from Spurs. It was very passive, men against boys, really. Man City was much a better team. Lucky not to get, unlucky for Man City not to get more than one goal in that half and really put the game to bed in the first 45. But credit to Spurs, they dusted themselves off. They put in a much better performance in the second half and were probably unlucky not to get the equaliser.
Yeah, and I think they'll take some positives out of that second half performance, but unfortunately that first half they nearly let the game get away from them. Lucky it was only 1-0, but they could have let the game get away from them with the chances that Man City had. I think both teams will take what they want out of the game. In terms of Spurs gave players some rest. We all know that the priority is the Europa League at the moment for Tottenham. That's kind of our best opportunity of glory. We know we don't also want to be finishing 13th, so if we can just get ourselves back in that top half, that would also be somewhat positive. But at the moment we're mired in 13th. We're so far off, where we want to be European wise. It's just very, very unlikely that even if we've gone a really good run of form, we're going to make it. So I think we know Europa League's a priority. And so the league at the moment is a bit dead for Tottenham, unfortunately. But we've got to try and build some sort of momentum for next season. If Andrew's got any chance of staying here, that's what he's got to do. And he's got to do well in the Europa League. So the fact that we played positively, I think there are signs of Tottenham, starting to improve their performance, but the first half wasn't good enough. It was a very young team, and I think maybe they were just, suffered from the lack of experience and getting a few things wrong in that first half. But in the second half, they did kind of fix a lot of the problems. I'm really unlucky not to get an equaliser. So positives there, but Man City deserved the win, and good win for them when it comes to getting back in that top four and ending the season well for them.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at recent months for Spurs, obviously it's been awful in terms of results and performance. I think that second half was more what we were like, in the first couple of weeks of the season, and dare I say it, the first 10 games of last season. I mean, it was more dominance. We controlled possession. We controlled the game. We had Man City penned back. We were creating chances. We just couldn't put the ball back in net.
Yeah.
But let's just hope, we can kick on from that and take the positives and really show that on a consistent basis, because I still have my doubts and my questions, but we'll see what happens. Liverpool and Newcastle next. 2-0 to Liverpool. Nice, comfortable and professional display from Liverpool. We both went for 2-1. Dominic Szoboszlai, man.
What a player.
This guy. I mean, we knew he was a good player when Liverpool signed him, but he kind of flattered to deceive up until this season, and Arne Slot's really found him in top gear, hasn't he?
Yeah, it was a weird one because at the start of last season he started so well and everyone was like, wow, what a player they've signed. And then after about 10 games he really waned for the remainder of the season, really struggled to score consistently or was actually a bit of a liability at times last season, and everyone was like, this guy's a flop, like Liverpool signed a dud. And also coinciding with Liverpool falling away at the end of the season, he was having a really poor end, so everyone was like, maybe this guy ain't it. And this season as well, I thought he started a bit shakily, started with low confidence, but definitely I would say in the last, probably since like December, I think he's been one of the best midfielders in the league. I think he's going really under the radar. I think he's been absolutely phenomenal. And he's starting to score very consistently at the moment. I think he's scored 4 in his last 5, I think the stat is. And I think he's playing in like this false 9 kind of, or he was anyway before this game, but he's playing up front a bit. He's getting into the box. We know what an unbelievable strike he has on him. And he's starting to get in those goal scoring positions and starting to really put the ball in the back of the net consistently. I think what he does tactically for the team is really impressive in terms of unbelievable presser, really good with his quick passing in behind as well. I think he's a really good facilitator and very physical, so you can lump the ball to him and he can win headers as well. I think he's doing a phenomenal job for the team at the moment, Szoboszlai, and he's getting the goals now to back it up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, massive credit to Arne Slot, massive credit to Liverpool.
Although I did think Pope could have done a bit better with that goal. It kind of was a weak shot and it just went through him.
but I don't think you take anything away from Liverpool. They massively deserve the victory.
Without Isaac, it was always going to be difficult for Newcastle.
Yeah, I was so surprised that I didn't see him in the starting lineup. He must have picked up an injury.
He's injured, wasn't in the squad.
Mohamed Salah, man. Mohamed Salah, 25 goals in 28 games this season, 17 assists. Haaland's record is 36 Premier League goals. The record for assists this season in the Premier League is 20 by Kevin De Bruyne. Is there a chance that he could break both those records this season?
I think assists, yes. I don't think he's going to get another 12 goals. I mean, he could, I guess, but he's got 11 games. He's pretty much getting like a goal a game at the moment. So he's not actually getting like loads of hat tricks and stuff. He's just very consistent. He's literally every game he's getting goals.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did it.
I just feel like he'll fall short of that goal mark, but I think he'll beat the assist one.
Regardless, right? He's probably going to end the season on the most goals and assists combined.
Yeah, he'll smash that. He'll smash that massively.
Who has that record for that?
Who has it? Was it Henry? I think he got 20 goals, 20 assists, I think. Was that it?
Yeah, I think you're right.
So I think Salah will smash that, I think, by a lot. And I think he's going to...
Henry got 44 in a season.
44, there you go. I think he'll get a lot more than that, to be honest. Because what's he on now? He's on 40.
Yeah.
So he's gonna get it by a long way. He's gonna get it by like 10 probably.
So where are we at with Mo Salah in terms of the Premier League greats? He's got to be up there in the top 3, surely.
Well, for sure. I think how consistent he's been. He pretty much hasn't had an off season. Unbelievable numbers. He seems to, even in his, he's 32 and he seems to be better than ever. No sign of slowing down. This will be his second Premier League as well. Obviously, when you compare it to the amount of Premier Leagues that Man City have won and even Man United greats have won in their day, and even some Chelsea greats, like, how many Premier Leagues Hazard won 2? I'm trying to think of some of the Chelsea greats like Drogba. He probably won 3 Premier Leagues. So on the trophy cabinet could be maybe a bit lacking, but I think when it comes to just purely as a player, and also he's got 2 Premier League trophies as well behind him anyway, and a Champions League, and probably a few domestic trophies as well on top of that. I think he's definitely in the top 5 for me, and I think he's definitely got a shout for being in that top 3.
In terms of right winger, I think he's the best right winger the Premier League has ever seen.
For sure. I have to agree with that.
In terms of, Premier League all-time front 3, you got to say it's probably Salah on the right, Henry up top, and what you say,
Hazard, Bale,
Giggs, Bale.
Giggs was
Ronaldo,
Giggs was great, but was he ever the best player in the league? Giggs, you know what I mean? He was he was always a good player, and he was a great player for a long time. But was he ever up there with like the best players in the league? I don't know. Or was he just a really good player for a really long time?
But when you talk about Gareth Bale, he was probably only that for 1 season.
But he still was.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got Ronaldo there as well.
I'll put Ronaldo on the left.
Got Ronaldo on the left. It depends if you're like talking about in the Premier League era, or you're talking about for specific seasons. You know what I mean?
What he did in the Premier League, like longevity, everything goes into it.
Yeah. So Ronaldo was probably at the top of his game for 3 years in the Premier League. Bale probably his very, very best for a year. He was still really good beforehand, but his very best for a year. You got Hazard as well. Hazard was really good for a number of years at Chelsea.
Hazard was very inconsistent, though, for me. He should have done it. With the talent that he had, I've always said this, with the talent that he's had, he should have done a lot more for me.
There were 3 years, though, where he was the best in the league.
Yeah, that's true.
So, if you're going to say Ronaldo... He was
in the Premier League, 5 years?
He was there from 2012 to 2019. So, 7 years.
7 years. So, yeah, that's even longer than I thought.
Yeah, but he won 2 Premier League titles as well. Yes, I would probably say Ronaldo. Yeah, I'll probably put Ronaldo on that left-hand side.
I mean, Eden Hazard definitely gets a shout for those 3 years because he was fantastic. And I think, 15 assists in a season he got once as well. So, last but not least was Monday Night Football. West Ham against Leicester. Finished 2-0 to West Ham. Sim went for 2-0. He gets a 5-pointer to save his week. I got just a 1-pointer with the 3-1. Yeah, I mean, Leicester offered nothing. West Ham professional performance, but again, it wasn't the greatest game of football. I think West Ham just did enough to get the win.
And again, both goals really poor from Leicester's point of view. Poor defending, letting Kudus in the front of the goal without really. They had Kudus and Souček both have shots on the rebound without any Leicester player near them. Shocking defending. And the second goal as well, Bowen shot deflected into the arms of past the keeper. I mean, another really poor goal in a tight space where people should be blocking that shot. They offered very little. Leicester, they just seem defeated. They seem a defeated team.
Up.
That's the difference between, I guess, between them and Ipswich. Like when I watch Ipswich, they're still trying. You know, they're still in games. They're still going for it, and you see good moments from them. Leicester just seem absolutely defeated. They seem to have absolutely no chance. And I think at this point now as well, Van Nistelrooy has played as many matches as Cooper, and I think. Cooper picked up 10 points and Van Nistelrooy 7, so it's gotten worse, a lot worse since Van Nistelrooy's come in.
They're just getting battered week in, week out now, Leicester, and look, they're resigned to the drop. The players are showing it on the pitch, completely given up, and I think it's a bit unprofessional from these Leicester players.
Yeah, they just seem completely defeated, and they don't seem to have a chance. Really, they're not giving themselves a chance. Good win for West Ham, but it wasn't even that great of a performance. They didn't have to be great to win.
No. But look, hopefully, not hopefully, but I think there is more to come under this Graham Potter side of West Ham. They've got some good players there. They've got a good manager there now. I think he just needs time to imprint his philosophy and ideas because it's been so long kind of the other way, hasn't it?
Probably needs a summer window as well. Get some more technical players in there.
All right, and star men. What have we got here? Sim went for Cole Palmer. I went for Jared Bowen. Jared Bowen, it seemed like he did get a goal yesterday.
Own goal, it was. No goal. And it seemed many times that Cole Palmer got something, and every one-on-one he missed, I was getting more and more frustrated. And
Cole Palmer put on a proper stick. I was watching the Chelsea game and he must have had at least 5 chances.
I couldn't believe
chances to score.
Couldn't believe he couldn't put even one of them, or not even one assist as well. And he's played the whole 90. I was sure he's going to get taken off on 60 when they were 3-0 up, but he didn't. He's played the whole 90. He just couldn't put it in the back of the net. Bowen, on the other hand, he had that kind of deflected goal, which unfortunately I gave an own goal, and he didn't have much in that game, unfortunately, Bowen.
No, he didn't have many chances. I thought that goal was going to be given his way. I had him captain on FPL as well. I got an FPL assist, but it wasn't a real assist. So unfortunately, it's 0 points each, and that ends on 255 to Sim, 263 to myself. It's FA Cup weekend, so no predictions this weekend, but we'll be back ahead of the next Premier League weekend next Thursday. So thank you everyone for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.